spring, when my mother was starting her garden, we planted some flowers next to the Chinese vegetables. Mrs. Crummerine, the Fitzgeralds, the Angel House, all planted Chinese vegetables next to their flowers. Soon, the whole neighborhood was growing Chinese vegetables in their gardens. Up and down the street, little green plants poked out of the ground. Some looked like leaves, and some looked like grass. And when the flowers started blooming, you could smell soup in the air.
All right, boys and girls. I asked you this week to become the discussioner director. What is important about being a discussioner director? What is important about being a discussioner director? Give me some think time. Tatiana. To ask questions. What are some of the question starters that we can actually start with when we asking questions? Caitlin. What? Jayla? How? Leslie? Who? Jamesia? Why? When? How? Where? Chelsea? If. Yes. Now I want to ask you guys to take out your questions that you actually asked from the story. I want to see what types of questions you had. What are some of the questions? Samaya.
Some of the questions I had is, why did the neighbors plant Chinese vegetables? Explain.
Okay. Tatiana.
What can you tell about the neighborhood? Explain your answer.
Okay. Cheyenne.
What is your favorite part of the story? Tell why.
Calvin.
How is the neighborhood different at the end of the story than at the beginning of the story?
Oh, Calvin, you must have read my mind. Because guess what? That was my question that I wanted to ask you. Because our lesson objective tells us that we must be able to describe the beginning, what?
Middle,
and the end of the story. And that's going to let me know that you have it when you can tell me how the beginning starts and how the end concludes its actions. So class?
Yes.
Oh, class.
Oh, yes.
I want you to have a collaborative conversation with each other about how the story begins and how the story ends. So class?
Yes.
Begin.
Okay, teach. At the beginning of the story, the girl was mad because all the other neighbors planted fields. Her mom planted Chinese vegetables, but the neighbors planted flowers. At the end of the story, everybody smelled the delicious Chinese vegetables, and they wanted so bad, and they went to the house and they had some.
At the end of the story, everybody in the neighborhood made planted Chinese vegetables.
And it last, they started to
Class?
Yes.
Oh, class.
Oh, yes.
You know what? I know that you had collaborative conversation, but I really want to know if you truly know what happened at the beginning of the story and what happened at the end of the story. So I'm going to pull our special names and see if we can go ahead and describe how the story, the overall structure of the story began and ended. Chelsea.
In the beginning, the little girl and her mother started planting Chinese vegetables, and the neighbors started planting flowers.
Good. Jamesia, how did that make the little girl feel?
It made her mad or sad.
Why did it make her mad or sad? Why?
Because she made Chinese vegetables and the neighbors had made flowers.
So, but why did that make her feel bad though?
Because that she wanted to plant flowers, but she planted Chinese vegetables.
Yes, she wanted to actually plant flowers instead of what?
Chinese vegetables.
And let me tell you what I thought. I said, oh, I wanted us to get jazzy with our lesson.
Get jazzy, get jazzy, get jazzy. Let's learn.
So let me tell you how I wanted us to become jazzy. I wanted to put another subject into our reading. What subject do you think that I can incorporate into our reading lesson so that we can have a great time in learning? Andrew.
We can add science.
We can add science. Why can we add science?
Because in the story is in science and in the story they both talk about plants.
We're talking about plants. But how can we make sure that they are incorporated? How do we know that it's going to incorporate within our lesson? DeMarcus.
Because they help us learn about plants.
They're going to help us learn about plants. Because what are we learning in science?
Parts of a plant.
Parts of a plant. And then what are we learning in our reading lesson?
The ugly vegetables.
Is a plant a vegetable?
Yes.
Yes, it is a form of a vegetable. So I want us to have that great experience of making sure that we can connect both of those subjects together. And around the room, I've placed you into learning stations. And in the learning station, you have a task challenge. And we started on them yesterday, and we didn't get a chance to complete them. So I want us to go back so that we can get the best experience by moving to our learning station. Does anyone have any questions before we move into our learning station? Is there any questions? You sure?
Yes.
Okay, well, tell me what you feel like doing. Some learning in here. Say what? Andrew.
Today test challenge. Today test challenge. Use your science to help you identify the parts of a plant.
Okay, so you guys started on your post already. To summarize the story. Okay. Make sure that you're using what? Your book. Why are you going to use your book?
To find the evidence.
To show the evidence, because I'm looking for your answer to correlate with those questions that it's asking you right here, okay? So make sure you're using your evidence. Kabish? If you need some more sticky notes, let me know.
Is it here? Today's task challenge is create and build your own vegetable plant. Materials: cup, seeds, soil, and water. Now we are customizing our plants. If you could plant a garden, would you plant a vegetable or a flower?
I will plant a vegetable because I can make vegetables too.
If you could plant a garden, would you plant a flower or a vegetable?
A vegetable.
Why?
Because I can make carrot cake.
Now we will customize it.
So tell me what you guys are doing. I want to make sure you're on the right track. What are you guys doing?
I am going to do the vegetable. I'm going to do the vegetable because I want to describe the story.
Oh, you want to decide? Okay. Do your features, but make sure that you're using your science book to help you identify the parts of the plant, the parts of your vegetable, because you know that every part has a function or a role. What are you doing?
Make the flower.
You're gonna make a flower. Can y'all name the parts of a plant for me? No. Leslie.
Leaves.
The leaves.
The flower.
The flower. The roots. The stem. So make sure you're using your book to actually find out and locate the text evidence about which part is what. Tell me what you're doing.
Today in our task challenge, we We are describing the overall structure of a story.
Are you just doing it out of the books, or how are you doing it? The beginning, middle, and end. Are you telling it in your own words, or are you just telling it how the book states the questions? What are you doing? Okay, so tell me in your own words the beginning of your story.
In the beginning of the story, the little girl and her mother started planting Chinese vegetables, and then the neighbors started planting flowers.
Okay, so that's just a picture incorporated right there. And Calvin, what about your beginning?
At the beginning, they plant Chinese vegetables.
Okay, so do you have your beginning?
And at the beginning of the story, the little girl and her mother had planted Chinese vegetables.
Okay, so this is the question I want to know. You just told me that the overall structure of a story talks about the beginning, middle, and end. Stop and give me a minute for a moment. Why do you think it's important to be able to describe the overall structure of a story? Why do you think it's important, DeMarcus? Okay, so you can learn the beginning, middle, and end. Tunisia?
So we can know the story good.
So you can know the story well.
So we can tell what happened in the story.
Well, okay, and Chelsea?
So the story can flow.
The story can flow. The author wants you to be able to make definitions from the beginning and the end. So y'all keep on listening because I have a surprise for you. I want to do this. I'm excited to meet you. One, two, three, all eyes on me.
4, 5, 6, our eyes are fixed.
Thank you for fixing your eyes upon me. Boys and girls, I have a special surprise for you guys. I was waiting for somebody to ask me what was the surprise. Y'all know my surprise? Yeah, y'all know my surprise. How y'all know? How y'all know I Y'all just take all my good joy from me. Yes, I did not want to let the story pass by because I love to give you a teachable moment where you can make that real life connection. Just like the people could smell that aroma. I heard y'all say this month. What's that smell? Yes, I brought you guys some vegetable soup. So today we're going to be able to actually enjoy, just like the people did, some vegetable soup. And I'm going to call each group up and we're going to just have a little taste of the vegetable soup. It's Sparrow.